pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I forgot what it was like to have the Pledge of Allegiance said without all the backdrop noise from the phone, because for the first time since the snow was falling in March, we have all 5 town board members in the room tonight, and of course, socially distanced. Excuse me?
Got to do attendance.
Yes, we should do roll call. That was just my little, preamble.
Okay.
Barbara, who is not in the room, and thank you for keeping your Pledge of Allegiance when you were muted. Can you do roll, please?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Cataldi?
Present.
Councilman Cahill?
Here.
Councilman Dean?
Here.
Councilman Abbott?
Here.
Attorney Genesi?
Present.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Present.
Could we please have any department heads who are present announce themselves?
Jeff Benway?
Do you hear that?
Thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
Joe Herbst is in the back of the room too. I don't know if you heard that, Barbara.
No. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
The next order on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the 16th and the 23rd, and I'm taking it the 16th was a regular board meeting and the 23rd was a workshop. Real quick, the 16th, I'm just looking quickly here, was the 16th, and I looked at this earlier, the meeting where we did a resolution on authorizing me as a supervisor, or the contract with Barton and LaJudas for the Ready projects. Is that from the 16th, Barbara, or was that from the 2nd of April?
16th of April.
No, that was the 16th. I believe that on the 2nd, you tabled it.
Okay. I know this is unusual. I'm not so certain that, do we approve those minutes as they sit right now? I mean, it might be a bit form over function, but, I mean, we did vote on that resolution, but I'm not certain, to tell you the truth, Attorney Genesi, if the board members totally understood what we were voting on, since there has never been a contract now supplied to us.
Then you might want to table the approval of the minutes of that meeting then, until everybody's had a chance to look at the meeting, or look at the minutes.
Does anybody have any questions on why I'm proposing that we table?
I know why you're doing it. I agree.
Okay. Okay, can I still call myself the rookie supervisor? If I lost that, are we, do I make a motion?
You can make a motion, you can make a motion to
I'll make a
table.
motion to table approving the April 16th minutes.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
It was Mr.
Councilman
Abbott.
Cahill?
It was Bill Abbott, Councilman Abbott.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Well, I didn't have any problem
Can I-
with the April
can I ask-
23rd minutes.
Can I ask why they were tabled?
I don't know if I'm best to explain that, or, not to, Charlie, I'm looking for legal counsel on that.
Well, no, you have concerns about whether or not the minutes reflect what was actually decided. So I think the board has to discuss what happened at the meeting, and
Okay.
I think they have to be reviewed. I think they have to be reviewed in detail, and I think it's something that we normally don't do, but in fact, there's nothing wrong with it either. It just happened a couple of weeks ago, or a month and a half ago, I should say.
Barbara, if you're asking if there's anything clerically not accurate to it because you were the clerk doing it. It has nothing to do with the clerical accuracy of it. Would that be a safe statement, Charlie?
Okay, because I'll just write that I just wanted to say the table due to discussion and clarification.
I think that's wonderful.
Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So then I would move that we approve the minutes of April 23rd as submitted by the town clerk.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
oh, she forgets me so easily.
Oh, I didn't hear Councilman Cahill vote, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Aye.
he said,
Okay, thank you, and Supervisor Flaherty, I did not forget you.
aye.
Supervisor Flaherty, thank you very much, okay.
All right, well, Mr. Damasella, you are first in a lot of things for us in this town. You are our first town board public hearing during COVID-19 augmented town board meetings.
2 prizes then, that's good.
Yeah,
Cash prizes, I
so,
hope.
Hope
You're-
you brought your pickup truck, because we're
Yes.
filling it up.
yeah,
Just so that it reflect in my taxes, reduced
Right.
taxes, that's fine.
usually the cast of thousands that would be out here would have a chance after you got a chance to
Yeah.
say your
Naturally.
what you're here for, to chime in as a public hearing. The way we've been doing this is we've given people a chance to email in any questions, concerns they have of the topic of the public hearing. From what I've been told, there has been no emails previous to tonight about it, and we will open up the phone line when you're done for 2 minutes to see if at least one call comes in, and if not, we'll close out the public hearing, a little discussion amongst the board members, and we'll hopefully get you on your way.
Sounds good.
So, I think we are opening the public hearing and letting Mr. Damascello.
So, my name's Anthony Damasel. I'm back here I'm with Sheriff's Properties, who's seeking a special use permit for 1698 Ridge Road. So, I'm here to get that finalized.
Can I, before you, is it a clerical error, Jeff and/or Barbara, that on the agenda that it says 1656 Ridge Road? Because actually, in my notes, I had 1698 also.
Wait, I believe it is 1656.
6 is right.
Yeah, 56,
Oh, it is.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
All right.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
I
You know,
own 1698 and I get them confused all the time.
We might have to take away one of your prizes.
Oh, jeepers.
As long as that pole barn doesn't go up on 1698.
No, that's not happening. Well, there is a room, but no, I wouldn't do that.
okay. Well, for anybody who is watching at home on channel 1303 Spectrum or live stream at the town of Webster's website, if anybody has any comments or questions about what Mr. Damascello is proposing, now is the time to call in to 872-7011.
I have a question. I don't believe I was I don't think I was at the meeting that you were here. I'm not sure.
I'm not
If
sure.
it has, it's been a while. Can you refresh me on what this is?
Yeah, it's the use permit or the project.
The project?
We're looking to build a pole barn in the back, in the northeast corner of the property. It is 50 by 44 roughly. I forget the exact
I
measurement.
think it was at 45, but yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. So yeah, just a sort of a cold storage as of right now, use pole barn on the property. There's already 2 buildings on the property, so we'll be adding a third.
So does that mean that this is mini storage?
No,
I was confused by the line in the resolution.
I have a picture of the building if you wanted to see it or something like that.
I'd love to.
Used to be an old manufacturing complex. I forgot what it's called, Griffin or something
Griffin?
like that.
I know exactly where it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is pretty close, I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
the same layout, 2 doors, and
Okay.
it's gonna be a little bit taller, but pretty close to the same colors also.
Is that manufacturing building still there?
The building is still there,
What is it used for?
storage,
Okay.
yeah, so Griffin, I think they sold it maybe 6 years ago. And they were operating out of there, and I acquired it and rented out just little storage places.
Okay.
I'm gonna take it that we're not gonna get many calls, and as the board
Thank you.
discusses, I will say that, how many boards have you been in front of in Webster
Jeepers.
All of
since January
All
1st?
of them a couple times.
Okay,
It's been a couple months.
yeah. And not because the project is a controversial one, there was some,
Some kinks to work out.
yes. So, we apologize, I
Thank you.
think I said that the last time you were up here, so. But certainly, I think that is the end of the public hearing. Any discussion amongst the board before we,
Let's undo this man's pain and get that
Oh, jeepers.
I'm gonna vote for Bill for president. Yes,
Should have had my wife call it to stir the pot a little bit.
you're a patient man, I gotta tell you. We should have more citizens like you. Barry, any
No, I'm fine with it.
good?
I'm good.
Is that, yeah, okay, well, I guess we're proposing a resolution to grant a special use permit to Charis Properties LLC for their pole barn, it's, or 1656 Ridge Road.
Well, second.
Is that Councilman Cahill?
Yes.
It was.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience, by the way.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate
Come and
it.
visit us again soon.
Oh, jeepers. I don't know about that. We'll see how my prizes turn out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
Do we want to add that that was a type 2 seeker?
Yes.
I was just looking
I
at that.
think that was done
It's in the resolution
at the
anyway.
planning board, yes.
Yes.
Just referencing it.
Yep.
Not that we're doing that, okay. Thank you, Patty. A couple of housekeeping items. Patty, was that you that did the bills today, or?
I did review the bills today, and everything was in order. Barbara, thank you for batching all of those refunds. I appreciate that. If not, I might still be there doing it. So I would move that we approve the bills.
Second.
Councilman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye. And I also went through the prepaid warrants as submitted by the Director of Finance, and I make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
I can't hear him. Did you
Aye.
vote? Okay, thank you. Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye. Now he's messing with you, Barb.
He used his soft voice on you, Barbara.
That's okay, I can handle it.
Okay. Well, next item up, actually, I saw Frank Maselli in the parking lot coming in tonight and told him that you're our first, well, actually, Mr. Domisella was our first, but this is the first meeting in 3 months where we've had people in the room. So, congratulations. And if memory serves me, was it your son that played soccer with?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
long time
Is
here.
he in college now?
Actually, just finished grad school.
He did. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay.
Time flies, right?
Time does fly. But so, Frank, you're looking for be a license agreement granted for your I take it it's your home at 249 Paper Bark Lane.
Correct.
And Jeff, you might be able to best help out on this as Frank describes it.
Yep, Mr. Mastelli's request to put a shed in the conservation easement. It's roughly, the property is about 290 feet deep. He's proposing to put the shed into the center of the woods and about 50 feet from the back of his house, which is about 25 feet into the conservation easement. I gave you some aerial photos to give you a feel for the amount of trees that exist on the site. And is this a pretty open area now, or is it?
No, it's actually pretty wooded, but if, my intention is straight off the back of the house, that easement starts at about 25 feet, 23 feet, I think, to be exact. And then I'm 25 feet beyond that, and there is no trees or anything that will be damaged in the process.
Perfect.
There's, kind of the way the tree line goes like this, and then it goes in, and the plan is just to kind of get as far back as I can into the trees, and just, have it rest on blocks. There'll be nothing permanent, down the road if I move on or whatnot.
Okay.
It's easily be removed. Nothing will be disturbed in the intention there.
All right.
The location on this drawing for the shed zone?
Sorry, I thought you had this one. You could take a look at that. That's it, right there.
There's a shed.
Right there. And this-
City wouldn't disturb any.
The shed will be about 150 feet into the property. It's about half.
You're gonna take down any trees, right?
No,
And the size of the shed conforms to code, right, Jeff?
Yeah,
yeah. I'm asking for 10 by 12, and that's
that's
maximum.
100. You can do
That's a max.
200.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, I discussed it through with Rod. But
Okay.
I'm not sure if it'll end up being that large. It might end up being smaller, but worst case scenario.
Oh, they're fantastic. Put all your junk in there.
Yeah, I think everybody has the actual resolution right up, and it does reference a 10 by 12.
Yep.
I'm just,
Yep.
I did it. I'm looking and I'm scanning quickly. I don't know if it says the intention to not remove any trees.
Well, that would be in the conservation, easement itself. He couldn't remove trees.
So having it in here would be just
It's
gratuitous.
unnecessary, yeah.
I think I might have included it in the original cover letter that I submitted. If not, I could be wrong.
The standard conservation easements for the town of Webster, because I have one, half my property's covered by one, basically prohibits taking down any trees. Obviously, if they fall, it's a different story, but you can't go in and harvest them, so, for any reason.
And that's the only restriction on a conservation easement?
No, I mean, you can't build, I mean, you're not supposed to be able to normally to build permanent structures, anything like that.
It
So,
would take down trees, or you could still build a permanent one if like this, like we're looking at?
well, you're basically giving him,
Right,
you're giving him a right that he would not have in the conservation easement. That's what you're doing by giving him the license agreement. And rather than amend the easement, which would be permanent, this is a license agreement which is effectively temporary. And it's for as long as he has the shed or uses the shed or somebody else uses the shed. So in other words, he can sell the property with the shed on it, assuming it's granted. But once that shed's down, that's the end of it.
okay.
So that will be in the, Mr. Michelli, I'll be the one preparing the the agreement.
Okay,
And I'll contact you when it's done. I'll send it to you and your wife for your signatures. I'll tell you how much money it's gonna cost, because it'll have to be filed in the county clerk's office. Again, I'm assuming it's granted, but
okay.
if it is granted,
Understood.
that's what's going to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie, thank you for, there was no Latin in there, but it was a great explanation, okay? I mean,
Does any of the board members have any other questions for Mr. Maselli?
No, I'm fine.
Charlie, do I have to read this whole thing?
No.
Thank you.
'Cause I think if there's any questions, though, I think that, again, you know, the board members could ask or
Right.
clarify certain things, or Mr. Maselli, but again, that's assuming it passes, so
Yeah.
I would read it until, you know, until it's.
Well, like I said, I mean, the resolution.
It covers-
you look through
it covers everything.
It hits the main points that Frank has already said, the size of the shed, you said you can't take. Well, then I propose a resolution of the Webster Town Board to grant limited relief from the established easement, 249 Paperbark Lane, Webster, New York, i.e. a license agreement on the conservation easement.
Second?
Was that Councilman Cahill?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great.
Have a good night. Thank
Looks
you.
like you're put to work, Frank. You're gonna be building the shed.
Absolutely. Thank you again for the time.
Good seeing you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
And while I take it, Mr. Driscoll is going to be coming in. Is there about these conservation easements? There's been scuttlebutt where not the Dollar General, but what's up on Ridge Road that the fill has gone in? We talked about this, that they're building a
Country Max?
Country Max, okay? And the back of that property, the homeowners were upset because now they don't have trees that are buffering that. But there were trees that were in a conservation easement, but the homeowners took them down?
Yep.
And so now when the abutting property
That spot in with
gets
trees at their own
developed, they're like,
cost.
I thought we'd always have Forever Wild there, and it's like, well,
So they destroyed their own for a while, is what you're saying?
yes, that's the way I understand it,
They
and
don't read their deeds and realize that they can't take any of that stuff down.
Or they just don't.
Technically, the town
Yeah,
could take them to court.
Yep.
yeah, that'd be rubbing salt in the wound, wouldn't it, Bill? It's, well, what is that, your best defense is a good offense? If they're upset about that development, we say that, well, you shouldn't take it
They
down.
shouldn't have taken the trees down there to start with.
Mr. Driscoll, how are you? Good to see you. We actually just had a similar situation for a appeal for a license agreement for something built in a conservation easement.
Correct, yes.
Previous one was a shed. I think yours is a fence.
Correct.
So kind of what we just did before, between Jeff and Mr. Driscoll, you can explain the situation to the board?
The limits of your fence, can you describe it if you?
Oh, yeah, it's a basic 4-foot high fence going around the back of the property. I believe it would go to right inside the property along on the sides. The easement, the conservation easement is 40 feet deep by 100 feet wide, and that takes up a significant amount of the property. There was some questioning that it was not on the abstract, and so I didn't notice it until I bought the house. I recently purchased the property and became owner in March. I haven't moved in yet, but I have with the current resident who is renting back from me. She allowed me to go on the property with the with the presence of a contractor in New York State Fence. And so it would go along the sides of the property, and then to the back of the property would be like 5 feet from the back of the property. It's just a basic fence all around the back with 3 gates, or whatever, if there's something that's more suitable or whatever, but that's what we were thinking. Kind of, aware that, it's, the measurements are pending, the approval, obviously, of the town first.
Can you give us a little bit of a description of the type of fence? You said it's 4 foot high. What's it going to be made of? You said it's going to be gated?
Yeah, it'll be a basic metal fence, I believe the item number and the,
Black aluminum?
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
basic, like, way I describe it is similar to what you'd see around a pool, a black aluminum fence. The New York State Fence Company says it's their most common, popular, item. So, and he said the 4-foot fence is the appropriate for height of, with the town, right?
There is a 20-foot drainage easement on the
Yes.
west side of the property. There is a storm sewer there and a catch basin, Joe, if you saw it. And so we'd probably have to move him off the property line so that no damage to the pipe occurs.
Is it 10 feet on my
It's
property?
10 feet on your property
And
and
10 feet on the
your
other guy,
neighbor's.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we could go inside of that so that the fence is inside of the drain that is appropriate to that easement.
Okay.
Wait, I'm a little confused. Is the license agreement just for the conservation easement, or is it going to be in the sewer and or drainage easements?
No.
No, he's not, he's gonna stay out of the.
Okay, he's going to stay out of those
I just
two
wanna make sure
easements.
he's
It's
aware.
only going to be in the conservation easement.
Yes,
Okay.
Jeff, where are those easements?
it's on the west side of the property. There's a catch basin and a storm sewer.
Why is that easement not showing on the map?
Yeah, it's not, you're right.
You should have this map.
While they're looking at that,
That's weird. It's a different map.
did you
I
say that right now you're
That's one
renting
map,
the
that's from somebody
property?
else.
No, it's part of the real estate agreement that when I purchased the property,
So where
the
did you want
previous
this on?
owner is renting back.
Gotcha, so you closed on it, you don't move in for,
Within 5 feet.
5 feet in the back?
That's, I will be moving in June 30th,
I got you,
roughly.
okay,
So standard, real estate.
understood.
Yeah,
Mr. Driscoll, is the property owned by you and your wife?
Can I see that?
that's correct, sir.
So her name is Stacy J?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Stacy J is her name?
That's my wife, yes.
Okay, so the two of you will have to sign the agreement.
Okay,
And then I'll prepare it, it'll be coming back for the supervisor's signature, you'll pay for the filing fee, I'll prepare the documents.
okay.
One thing, I have a map, and I'm guessing it was the map that was done for your closing, which is good, it's a recent map, it was made in February. But I'm going to have to ask you to, or somebody, to sketch in exactly where the fence is going to be on this map, because we're gonna file a copy of this with the county clerk.
It's sketched in on this map.
Oh, you have one?
Can I see that too,
Could
please?
we
Patty?
take a look at that as well?
Thank you.
Did it get sketched in by Jeff just 2 minutes ago?
No,
Oh.
I don't know, it's sketched in, but
Yeah, you just said you wanted 5 feet from the back,
5 feet.
and then 10 feet in on the east or west side.
so you say there's a catch basin here someplace?
Yeah, see right here on this, there's one, that's the pipe.
Here's
You
yeah, I
have
don't
this in
have
your
this,
package, I gave
this
this
is sort of
to-
sketched in here. I mean,
It's on the
I'm
back
not-
of this
Yeah,
one.
and that's-
Yeah, it's
there's
on,
the,
there's 2 sides.
John, it's on the back.
Alright.
So is what's sketched in
Yeah,
green?
okay, this is a,
Yeah,
yeah,
green is
drainage easement.
that's a different map than I have.
And then the square is the catch
Hey, you
basin.
got a better map than
So
I
this has
do.
gotta be 10 feet.
You just gave it to us.
Oh, well, that's why.
We don't have it either. No, I'm saying,
I just thought I would've described it.
Where, is he going just in the back, or is he going around the whole
No,
property?
it's gonna come all the way around, 5 feet back,
Okay.
plus this side, and then up this side.
Is there,
This is just to show you where it's going to be, but I think I'm gonna ask that it be put on the 2000. So when we're done, Mr. Driscoll, if it's granted, I'm gonna give that map back to you and you
It's
can
not even showing on the 2020.
take care of it.
No.
You're gonna, I didn't get, you give it back to me, I never, is that
Well, I
something?
don't know where I got it from. My
Okay.
son gave it to me. It's a 2020 map.
Yeah, the one,
2020 map that I have doesn't have anything like that.
right, exactly, the survey from 2020 is,
We would need the fence.
I think it's missing one of the easements.
Correct.
Starts with the catch basin and the drainage easement, because it doesn't have that either.
Yeah.
What's that, Joe?
I said I was told it was in the conservation easement only, not in a drainage easement. But I did not see it back.
No, it's not in the drainage easement.
But it's not in the drainage easement because he's coming 10 feet in.
Right,
Are
yeah.
you
I
okay
can-
with that?
Yes.
Looking at the map, I don't know what this is. It looks like something lovely landscaping over here on that side. Do you have 10 feet to come in for that fence?
Yeah, we had a map when I had the contractor come out. We noticed the easement was on one of the maps that I had at the time, which was May. And we kind of sketched it out when we were walking the property that, yes, we can come in 10 feet. It'll be tight to the house, but if you guys want us to, if that's what it takes to get the fence done, the reason I'm doing this is because I have 2 small kids and, need them in the backyard and watch them and keep them safe or whatever, but that's why we're doing it. If we have to come in on that side to clear the drainage, we'll do that.
It's got 19.5 feet according to the survey map.
Yeah, so 9 off the
So if
house.
you take 10 off of that, it leaves them with 9.5 feet.
To the house?
But we won't go off the side.
There's this lovely landscape thing that juts out here.
See how
Yeah, we're gonna
it's
dig
got-
out of that. We're gonna
Okay.
dig that bed up so
Okay.
that we can run the fence and close the back.
Yep.
And just in my notes here, and Dan, did you have questions about whether it was a 40-foot wide conservation easement versus a 30-foot wide, or did you get that clarified from your attorney?
No, I didn't. That was one of the things, I mean, I don't know what it would solve or whatever, but if you look at and I can't recall all the legal documents, but they're on the survey, no, on the map of the neighborhood. If you look down the street, the easement, the conservation easement goes the length of the street of the subdivision map. That's what it is, the subdivision map. And there are 2 houses where mine is one of them, where the easement is 40 feet deep. The rest of the houses are 30 foot. And when I spoke to the town, and when I spoke to my lawyer, they had no written awareness of why that is. Why there's a 30 on the rest of them.
Yeah, I did some research on that myself, because I saw your letter. I was curious as to what had happened there and why it was in, and there was back in 2002, there was a 30-foot easement granted from lots 10 to 18, and I think you are lot 12.
Correct.
So everybody certainly has at least a 30, but then they're
11 and 12.
yeah, 11 and 12, 10, 11, and 12 may have something different, so I don't know, I don't have your abstract, and I couldn't find anything else as to why, but what's interesting is that
My lawyer said there was nothing mentioning the.
I don't understand why the instrument surveys, to be honest with you, it's not something real, I mean, if we have it, we have it, if we don't, we don't. It would have to be on record, but what I find interesting is that both the surveyors, who professionally would have to look at all the meets and bounds of the various easements to create their survey maps, both put down the same thing. They both have a 40-foot easement for you and a 30-foot for your neighbor.
One neighbor has 30, the other neighbor has
Yeah,
40.
right, no, like I say, from
Yeah.
10 to 12 is 40 feet. From 13 to 18 is 30 feet.
Okay.
And I don't know why that is. I looked at the conservation easement that I looked at, it only says 30 feet. But you're gonna have to go back either to your attorney or the surveyor and find out why that is. I don't know.
Charlie?
Yeah.
I may interject a little bit. You got Deer Haven,
Mm-hmm.
two different, even though it's the same street, 2 different builders. Ryan on one, or Rowan on
Well,
the
that
other.
may have what happened then.
So maybe 2 different files,
Yeah.
even though it's the same street.
But it's interesting, Joe, because again, looking at the easement that was filed back in late 2002, it was created in 2002 and was filed January 9th, 2003. According to this, it covers lots 10 to 18, Autumnwood subdivision, which is what this is. And it appears, based on my reading of it, that it's 30 feet wide. Going from, going across all of these lots.
Yeah, the map that Supervisor Flaherty just showed me shows lots 11 and 12
With 40.
with 40.
Yeah, no, I understand, and I could
Yeah.
not find that 40, I couldn't find it myself, but again, I'm not I'm not your attorney or your surveyor.
Well, somebody didn't do their job, because I didn't find out until the closing that there was a large conservation easement on the back of my property. I was the one who found it.
That's not unusual, we need to tell you.
Really?
Yeah. People find all kinds of
Well,
surprises.
my lawyer
after
said
the
it
fact.
wasn't in the abstract, and then the town found it in another document, the legal description maybe? But that's kind of how,
Well, I have a legal description of a 30-foot.
yeah.
But, I mean, it would take, I didn't have the time to go, we have literally 1,000+ easements, so I didn't have a chance to go through all of them and look, but I did find that one. But your abstract would be very specific, so maybe you need to find out who has the abstract, take a look at it.
Well, if I have the right document, I kind of skimmed through it today, and there was, the only mention of Lot 12 specifically was, I think, Section 34, and there wasn't anything specifically about that conservation easement in Section 34. So, I mean, and again, you know, the flow of what's proper and right, that's not for me, obviously. I'm not sure how it's supposed to work.
Does 30 or 40 feet change where you're gonna put this fence?
Yeah, I would go into the fence, or into the easement with the fence, and the 40 feet is from the back of the property line going to my house. And so I would want to go to 5 feet into 5 feet from the back of the property line.
Right. Which
Is that correct?
that is what you're asking for. and
Correct, yes.
They're gonna make a decision, correct.
Yes.
So it really doesn't make any
Didn't really
difference
make any
whether
much
it's
of a
30 or
difference.
40.
That's what I was just asking.
Right, doesn't make any difference.
Doesn't make any
So,
difference.
If it was, you could table it and then.
No.
30 or 40, it doesn't matter where you're gonna put the fence.
No,
That's what the question I had for you.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
I mean, where it would make a difference is on that 10 feet closest to your house.
Right.
If that really wasn't part of the conservation easement, you'd have more abilities to do stuff there, cutting a tree down or whatever, which.
You're talking the side of the house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, based on that map, I.
So Joe, you're saying it's gotta be 10 feet off the easement there, the drainage easement?
Yes, typically they're shared 10 on these properties, 10 on the neighbors. This one is unique because we're on side lot, not back lot, but
Yeah.
it's still the same.
Okay.
So we're not going to put the fence within that easement, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes.
So, I see where on the drawing that, that Jeff has, you're spelling out that you're gonna put 5 feet off the back, right? But I don't see anything from a dimension standpoint called out of where the fence is gonna be located on the house that has the drainage easement. 5 feet.
So we'd go 9 feet off of the house, which would be inside of the 10 feet required to clear the drainage easement on the west side of the property.
Because he's got 19 feet there.
No, I get that, I just,
It's not
where
there.
we have one dimension, we don't have the other.
I was going by his description.
What?
Yeah, but as he was describing it, I was trying to pencil it in.
Well, the
So
board,
the other side,
if the board grants it, you are granting a license agreement, so you can make whatever terms you want. If you want to specifically state where it's going to be,
Yeah, I do.
and set the dimensions, you can do that. Tell Mr. Driscoll, I'll give him the map, and he can come back before it's filed with an exact drawing as to where the fence is going to be.
I'd like to see the dimensions, so.
You want me to do like
Yeah,
have a
'cause the
contractor?
maps we have don't show us.
No, and I have, like I say, I have the most recent one. I think everybody else should have that too, because I had asked for the most recent, and we do have it. We have one from February 17th of this year.
Right, it doesn't show anything.
No.
Right.
I think considering that we're trying to be very cautious about that drainage easement, first of all, I mean, that's first and foremost, I think it would be good to have a drawing that shows exactly where it's going to be, so that we've got something to reference for the
Well, I'll tell you
future.
what, then I would suggest that the board table it until we have a better map showing the drawing of exactly where it's going to be with the footage from all property lines and from all easements, other easements.
If you look at the image too, I'm not familiar with lot numbers, but 4 of the lots from where it went from 2 different developers, the lots on the northeast corner of that bottom noise, which is a Ryan track, are all set back about 10 feet deeper than the rest of the homes in the sub. So that they elaborate as to why you have 30 foot on top and 40 foot on others. That's not worth looking at, but just looking at the satellite image, 4 of the homes are set back 10 feet further than the rest of them.
Not relevant to what you want.
And maybe you can explain why the difference is in the back.
Yeah, it's just peculiar is that 40, the 40.
Hold on, Bill, wait till everybody's listening.
I'm a visual person, so.
That's just,
Yeah.
I make a motion, we table this until we have a revised map that we can all.
I can draw it right here, I know.
Oh, that's-
It's up to you, obviously.
Well, what map do you have, Mr. Driscoll?
I have the survey map, I'm not sure which one.
It'll say the date at the bottom.
2/17/20.
Okay. If you can draw it in exactly and the board's satisfied, and I'm satisfied, then.
No, but don't do that. Bill's made a motion to table this until we have an authentic map that's going to describe both easements and the location of the fence.
Second.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
You guys don't have the one with the second easement?
No.
I might have it.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Can we hold on for 1 second here? Can we hold on for 1 second?
Point of order, sir.
Yes,
You can't
yes.
hold on. Motion's been made, Tom.
No, it's down here, it's on the
We
side.
got a motion made,
Oh,
a
that's the
second,
problem.
and 3 votes have been cast. Did you vote?
Yes, I did. I voted
Yeah,
yes.
Got 3 votes on this. Doesn't matter to me, I'm saying that now.
No, I guess it doesn't, so I'll just, aye. I just wanted to see if there was a map that had everything on it. So I guess we're to you, right?
Aye. Barbara?
Thank you.
Barbara, Councilman Abbott, I just want you to be sure that Councilman Abbott made that motion,
Okay.
and Councilman Dean seconded it.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep.
And all have voted aye, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
So where do I get the proper survey map then?
Oh, let me give you this, and I'll talk to you offline, as it were.
Dan, you're not being singled out. This is normal procedure. Normally, when someone comes to granting a license, first of all, we're reluctant to grant licenses within easements, but we do. But normally, when you were to come forward, you would have the complete document for us, so we could visually look at it and make sure that all the Ts are crossed and all the Is are dotted, so we know what we're granting a license for, okay?
So,
And it's also something that would get filed, so it's kind of important that it's not just something we put down at the last minute.
how do I interview you? Okay.
Mr. Genesi will take care of that for you.
Okay.
And we'll see you again as soon as we can.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm not gonna air any names here, but it's just very interesting that you have a 2005 survey that has it in a 2020. And I'm not gonna name the two surveyors, but it just seems like sloppy work in the 2020 survey.
And we need somebody to make it right, so that it's
No,
not
it's the right call. It's unfortunate, but
It's very frustrating for people when they come in to find out that they don't have what they need. But it's also our job to make sure that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed, because as I said, that will be filed. We can't just have a fence drawn on the map and then find out that, oops, it's 9 feet from the drainage easement instead of 10, and there's nothing that really clarifies that in the paperwork, so.
yeah. No, I
And it's
get it.
probably the drainage easement that's more concerning than anything.
Yeah.
That's
No,
really
without a
where we
doubt,
have to
it's
be
the
sure.
drainage easement, and the 2005 the firm that did the survey in 2005 has it there. I know that it hasn't changed. in
Well, the fence should be
2020.
properly drawn in,
Right.
and the dimensions should be there. You just can't
That's,
scribble a line in there and not have any
And,
dimensions.
I feel bad for Mr. Driscoll that whoever in his closing was his surveyor
right. And I would think
Didn't
that,
do a good job,
I would
This
also,
hap-
but we're not gonna name names.
This happens quite frequently where the people buy properties and don't even know that they have easements on their properties because it's not divulged to them at the time
it happens all the
of the
time.
purchasing or
Yes.
closure. They just don't know.
Right, and I also think that Mr. Driscoll would want to find out for himself whether it's 30 feet or 40 feet. And that's not really necessarily our job to clarify that for him on his abstract.
Okay, well, we are gonna move on to the last formal item tonight, which ties into the Ready project down at the bay. And this is actually, there's actually 5 different components to the Ready project. This one, MO.78, actually is the one where the town of Webster is not the lead on it. The county of Monroe is. It has to do with the road, the west end road, right?
Yes.
Not the east end, Barry, where Sandbar Park is,
Right.
right? So we're actually, as a town, entering into this municipal agreement with the county of Monroe, but they're the lead, they're the ones that gave us basically that agreement.
Oh, yes, they're agreeing. They agree.
And has all the board members seen the agreement? Because soon, I guess in the next couple board meetings, we'll be doing something similar, but it'll be on municipal agreements where we're the lead on some Ready projects, so a little bit different. We're wearing the hat this time of not being the lead, and looking at what the municipality showed us as the agreement.
Well, I've got a couple,
Yeah.
we're preparing, we're working.
So, before I make a resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign this, or as Barbara has taught me, have somebody else propose that resolution, do any of the board members have any questions for Charlie or anything on the format of the agreement?
Joe, has this work already been started?
I'm not privy to what it pertains to. We have just completed all the work from, all across from pretty much Myers Marina, east, about 800 feet. Modified the drainage, storm sewer, enhanced the elevated roads, modified the driveways, no shoulders, that's all done. But I'm not familiar with what the scope of this project is.
This project was to provide some seawall around the county's pump station, which is located on the Sandbar Park property.
We did not do that.
Without having read all of this, what exactly are we?
I would say, I'll tell you what, because I did look at this and I had questions and I went to the county and Jeff was involved in that as well. And they were answered. I guess I would direct the board particularly to maybe numbers 5 and 6 might explain things.
So that Mr. Herbst can be privy to what it includes.
I will give him my copy.
I got one, I got an extra one, Charlie.
How does he not have one?
What are they talking about here? The county owns Sandbar. What are we talking? The pump station.
Yes.
Wastewater.
So we're talking about the pump station.
So why does number 6 talk about 80% of the time, at the time of contract award of Sandbar Park Ready project? And that's where I think there's been a lot of confusion, as to Sandbar and Sandbar Park.
Well, WWPS is the key thing there. It's the wastewater pump station. I think.
But then the next sentence says the Sandbar Park Ready project. And the balance at the conclusion of the Sandbar Park Ready project.
And then the next sentence, the county
Goes
owns
back to
Sandbar
WWPS.
Ready Project State Award.
And then it goes back to the Sandbar Park again. I want to be sure that these things are pulled apart.
I do too.
Because there's been much confusion on this.
Charlie, is this just one of those things where, I mean, obviously, we were supplied this by the county.
Correct.
And whoever drafted this,
County Attorney's Office.
I think, Patty, I'm not, your point is well taken, it's sloppy writing, and we have to have the writing match the intent. And the intent is the Sandbar WWPS Ready project. So the
Well-
writing has got to be consistent throughout that.
Well, I'm sure there's a reason that it says it this way, and it seems to be consistent in that it's, that one paragraph is conflicting with the next. The very first page is, whereas this agreement refers to the Sandbar WWPS Ready project as the county-owned project that's been awarded Ready funding from the state of New York. And then the next paragraph is, whereas the town-owned project subject to Ready funding is the Sandbar Park Ready project.
I would agree with that.
And it keeps going back and forth between the two, and it could just be a matter of what the two different ones are called, but I've already said it, I want to be very careful with this.
And then your next whereas is the state has awarded ready funds to the county for the Sandbar WWPS project totaling $250. It's almost as though in legalese, Charlie, on first page, the first, third and fourth whereases are differentiating the Sandbar WWPS Ready project from the Sandbar Park Ready project
Correct.
by showing that one's town-owned and one is
one's
county-owned. So that in and of itself, as you go through this, might,
Well, typically, they'll have clarification of that at the beginning, won't they? When they're referring to something down further in the document, Charlie? When they refer to the Sandbar project, it has this meaning. When they refer to the WWPS Ready project, it refers to this. So that there's no confusion as to when you're reading the document, is there a little bit right now, or no, or?
If you have questions about it, I would say table this and we'll get those
Yes.
answered.
I definitely,
Yes.
to Patty, Councilman Cataldi's point is quite valid.
But please get the questions to either me or Jeff or both of us, so we can then direct them to the county.
This agreement refers to the Sandbar project as county-owned
Yeah.
project.
I don't mind it being
Whereas
tabled.
the town-
As I'm reading it now, reading it in totality from the beginning and getting over to 5 and 6. 6 is basically tying the counties, saying how they're gonna pay it on the WWPS project is
Right.
tied to the contract award of the Sandbar Park Ready project.
So the question, a lot of the question is, what do they mean by those, particularly those terms?
Correct.
Sandbar WWPS Ready project and Sandbar, I think the Sandbar Park clearly is, they're talking about the Sandbar Park that we own.
Right, and the WWPS is clearly
Wastewater pump station.
But
Yeah, it's funny, I'm reading 6, Charlie, and I'll let you, is that they're basically saying all bets are off if the town doesn't get awarded their Sandbar Park project. That's how I read that. Which I'm kind of indifferent on whether that's important or not. I don't know.
Joe, did you have any discussion on what you read?
Yeah, no, what we did is completely separate from that. It's what we did was road modifications and storm sewer modifications, and
That's
that's
got nothing to
retaining
do
wall.
with this.
Yep, two separate applications. I'm good.
And none of that was any part of the ready grants?
Nope.
Thank you.
That was an agreement that we had already entered into last fall, or late summer, fall, when we anticipated water levels coming up.
Well, Councilman Dean, you're very involved in the Sandbar Park project. What are your thoughts on this?
I can't read it. I need to be sequestered to read things like this. I can't read them and follow with all the discussion going on. It looks to me like they're just trying to segregate the two, our project versus their project. But I haven't finished reading it, and I just started reading it, so I really don't know exactly what this says.
Well, there is certainly validity to erring on the side of caution in light of many things that have to do with the Ready project. So you will not get an argument out of me if everybody is reading this and comes to the conclusion that it's not unequivocal in its interpretation.
This number 6 is just a bit confusing.
But I'm gonna lean on the Latin speaker.
My suggestion is obviously, if any of you feel uncomfortable about it, or you
I'd like,
further clarification, then we'll
I'd
table it.
like to table this, so I have some time
Read
to go through this.
it over.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, then shoot them to us, that's all.
I'd second that. Did we lose Barb?
Barb? Barbara?
She might be on her way down here.
Hey, Barb?
Oh, I'm here. You know,
Was it not time?
The dishes.
I did hear Supervisor Flaherty second it, but I did not hear who motioned. I'm
Councilman
sorry.
Dean.
I move that we table this.
Table this, okay. Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
May I suggest that if any of you have questions, no matter how small or how big, that you put them in an email and get them to Mr. Benway and myself, and then one of us will try to get it clarified or get back to you. It may be this is fine.
Maybe I just need to be able to read it.
Yeah, no, it's, and I can understand well, I don't wanna, I didn't write it, but we'll leave it at that.
We're a little bit once bitten, twice shy, I would say, like I said.
No.
Erring on the side of caution on the Ready project.
I agree.
Cross T's, dot I's. Now that concludes the formal agenda tonight. I would like to make a motion to move into executive session under Public Officers Law 105 sub 1 sub F, which Attorney Genesi deals with several issues, but one is personnel.
Well, specifically, you you were dealing, it has to be a little more specific than personnel, Mr. Supervisor. You have to be dealing with discussion of promotion, demotion, discipline, appointment, hiring, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person.
Okay,
If that is part of the discussion and process, then you can
yes.
go into
So my
executive
motion to
session.
go into executive session, and the board needs to be here along with, in attendance, town clerk Ottenschott, either on the phone or in the room. So that is my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Councilman Abbott?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Mr. Flaherty, what time is it, so we
It
can
is
know?
8:34,
Okay.
8:33. I will say, and I don't know if Karen has turned off the tape yet, or the live. I don't think you do close the meeting, because we're gonna have to come out of executive session and come back.
Well, the executive session is not gonna be recorded, though.
Right. So I just want, people watching at home or on live stream, the screen's about to go black, and it could be in 10, 20 minutes, it'll come back up for what I assume will be. Okay, then this is the end of the formal meeting, even though,
They don't show Three Stooges shorts or something in between?
I go to 1303 once